Good grief. Here's a clip of Tomi Lahren on Piers Morgan. She runs circles around the entire panel, and Piers Morgan challenges her. What's the difference between Ukraine and Israel? Why do you support Israel and you don't support Ukraine? She educates him as well as then turning to the co panelist. I don't even know her name, but she's a real bitch, and giving her a reality check. Check it out.
All right, explain to me, though, the difference ideologically between supporting Israel, which is under threat from a totalitarian regime in Iran and through proxies, and Ukraine, which is under threat from a totalitarian regime in Russia. What's the difference?
Well, for one, Israel has a chance of winning their war. They can decimate Hamas. They can put an end to this quickly and decisively if our own president would stop standing in their way. And of course, we've got disgusting, nasty pro-Hamas protesters on our own college campuses, which is a discussion for another day. But Israel can win this. Israel can wipe out Hamas and Islamic terrorism. We haven't seen Ukraine be able to hold off Russia. So there's the first difference here. And also, as I mentioned previously, Israel has a track record of being able to audit itself, being able to be responsible with money that it's being given. Really? I don't know if we can say the same thing about Ukraine. I don't think anyone would believe that Ukraine, which has a long history of corruption, Piers, as you know.
Okay, I have one question for you. Which of these two leaders is currently involved directly in a corruption trial alleging fraud, bribery and breach of trust? Is it President Zelensky, or is it Prime Minister Netanyahu?
Well, the people of Israel will have to decide on the Netanyahu issue, and they will decide that. But Ukraine as a country goes far beyond just Zelensky. Ukraine itself has a long history of corruption. So it's not about just one guy and one election that can easily maybe solve some of those problems. This is about a nation that has a history of corruption. So a lot of Americans are unsettled about sending so much money. And also, I would also point this out. It's not just military aid. It's also economic aid. The fact that the American people are funding economic aid for government bureaucrats in Ukraine, I'm sorry, Piers, that's a bridge too far for me.
Look, here's the world that Trump wants.
Hold on. I just want to clarify. I am not pro-Russia at all. I think, Putin is an absolute totalitarian dictator, piece of shit. He's a piece of shit type of guy. But the idea that funding Israel and funding Ukraine are the same thing is insane, because one of them, again, it's very possible to win. You're on a side that could pretty much easily take care of all of its enemies. And Russia-Ukraine seems like an endless fight, and I don't see an end. So I'm pro-Ukraine 100%, but I also see the fact that if you continue this, all of the Ukrainians will, God forbid, die. And so I'm sort of the opinion that we should get that mediated versus the fact that I think that Israel can eventually destroy Hamas. Now watch the rest of this clip where she absolutely, I think her name is Francesca something, embarrasses herself. She's like a Hamas talking head.
Trump wants a world where all these wars are over quick. Tomi said it herself, right?
What's wrong with that?
Look over in Israel. Well, what's wrong with that is 25,000 women and children killed in Gaza, having been suspected, militants or not militants or who cares, or they were in a neonatal unit in a hospital waiting for their child to survive a war as they gave birth early. So that's what's wrong with just allowing any one of our allies to do whatever they want.
Well,
that's
Israel,
Trump's worldview.
Israel, of course, is responding.
Hang
on. On that point, Israel is responding to one of the worst terror attacks of modern times, in which Hamas slaughtered 1,200 people, including innocent women, children, and so on. So
someone remind Francesca.
Preemies.
Yeah, Piers, you got to remind Francesca that there was a ceasefire on October 6th, and the terrorist organization Hamas chose to break that ceasefire. Hamas also keeps their military stockpiles underneath of schools and hospitals, something that she's conveniently ignoring because she has taken on the Hamas propaganda and made it her own. Congratulations.
No, congratulations. So it's cool to kill a bunch of preemie babies in their incubators. Is that what you're saying? It's cool to fire upon hospital workers. It's cool to level colleges and universities, Tommy, because supposedly there's Hamas units under them. Is that what you're saying? It's okay. This is all collateral damage.
Supposedly, that's what they actually do. That's actually the strategy.
So it's okay.
That is the Hamas propaganda strategy 101. No, it's Israel goes to great lengths, more than any other country in the world, maybe outside of the United States, to avoid civilian death. You know that, I know that, but you're reading the Hamas propaganda and you're spreading it around to the world.
Like, do you read the newspaper? Do you understand like what's coming out? That's IDF soldiers are saying, I pressed the button to murder an entire family because there was a suspected militant as soon as they entered their home, and I killed dozens of their family members. That just came out. That's not propaganda. That is an Israeli reporter talking to IDF soldiers. But like, whatever, it's fine. The fact that everyone's so triggered when anyone talks about the truth shows you what side needs the propaganda in this genocide, and that's Israel.
I got to leave it there.
Piers, I think Francesca has a protest at Columbia to get to.
All right, let's leave it there.
Hats off to all of them. Free speech, Tommy. You believe in free speech? Remember, free speech, the right? Is that old?
Yeah, free speech doesn't cover actually making threats against Jewish people.
This woman is, wow. She is, there's bitch, and then there's Karen, and then there's ultra Karen bitch. And she is right there. She is at that level of just annoying to listen to, annoying to watch. I don't know how people can hear her. I actually think her show is called something like that. It's called like a maybe with an E, like the B word with an E or something. Francesca. I don't even know her name. I don't even want to tell you her name, so you have to listen to her. Just terrible. Tomi Lahren, moral clarity. Yeah, we bombed the houses that Hamas are in. No problem with that. And notice how that they always make an emotional argument. You're going to kill babies? How can you kill babies? And it's like, that's not what we're saying. We're saying that targeting terrorists is 100% allowed. And oftentimes in war, there's going to be people that are there that may die. We're not trying for that to happen. They send leaflets. They do door knocking. They do so much in order to avoid civilian casualties, and yet people do end up dying. And most of that is probably because of Hamas. Again, they stop people from going to safe passages. They stop people from being able to get to safety. They don't want the civilians to get away. They actually want more civilian casualties, as well as they misreport the amount of casualties. So they'll say that it's this amount, and then they'll say, oh, actually, most of those guys were actually Hamas fighters. So they won't distinguish between the two, and they'll, add up the casualty figure. Much to the, it's almost like they enjoy it. The West seems to enjoy when the casualty figure goes up, because then they feel like they're more morally superior. That's how sick they are. It's like 35,000 dead. Oh, look, I have a higher number than you. Now I can claim moral virtue. No, that's not how war works. It's very simple. Intention, intention, intention. If you're trying to kill civilians, you're a bad guy. If you're not trying to kill civilians, you're a good guy. For more, subscribe to the channel. If you want to help us make more of these videos, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JewishUncensored. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.